All right, move right to conduct of business. Our first item is item A, receive a report on the Grand Boulevard Initiative's complete streets case study and adopt a resolution appropriating $11,000 of Measure M funds to complete preliminary 25% design drawings.
Good evening, Mayor Rain and council members. I'm David Woltering, San Bruno's Community Development Director. The purpose of this agenda item is to update the City Council on the Grand Boulevard Initiative's Complete Streets San Bruno case study and to request $11,000 in City Measure M funds to complete preliminary 25% design drawings for that case study. I'll provide an overview of the staff report for you this evening, and I'll be accompanied in my presentation by two guests this evening. We have Megan Wessel, who's a representative from Samtrans, and we also have Terry Bottomley from Bottomley Associates, who is the design professional working on the case study project. 4 cities are participating in this case study project. Those cities are San Bruno, South San Francisco, Daly City, and San Carlos. The Grand Boulevard Initiative, or GBI, is a collaboration of 19 cities, 2 counties, various agencies to improve the performance, the safety, and the aesthetics of El Camino Real for all users. The case study area extends from Daly City, the city limit, the northern city limit of Daly City, all the way into San Jose. And the segment here that we're looking at in San Bruno is from San Bruno Avenue to Taylor Avenue. The intent of this case study project is to develop street improvements for corridors like this that can be models for other communities, other regions, and throughout the state and throughout the nation. Caltrans has review authority for El Camino Real, and the funding being sought tonight, the $11,000 of local match, is to bring the design drawings for the segments being considered in this case study project to a 25% design level as required by Caltrans as part of their review process. The Complete Streets case study project is a partnership among various agencies, including the San Mateo County Transit District, Samtrans, the City County Association of Governments, CCAG, the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, VTA, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Caltrans, and the 4 case study cities. To date, grant funds and fund support from Samtrans and CCAG have provided over $200,000 in support for the San Bruno case study alone. Additional funds are required to finalize the preliminary drawings and reports for the next phase of the Caltrans development review process. Samtrans has identified funding for most of this additional funding that's being required, but is looking to the case study cities for an $11,000 local match from each one of the cities. Providing this local match would enable the City of San Bruno to continue to participate in this case study project. This fall, one of the 4 cities will be selected for preparation of the final 100% drawings for the case study segments and be eligible for approximately $2 million in construction funding. That would be about half, almost half, of the estimated cost for construction improvements for the San Bruno segment. We as staff believe it would be advisable for the City of San Bruno to continue to participate in this process and maintain its eligibility to be considered for the final design funding and the construction funding that I've mentioned. As we all know, this segment of El Camino Real is within the transit corridors plan area, a very important plan here in San Bruno, that was adopted in February of this year. That plan, the Transit Corridors Plan, really calls for the transformation of 150 acres of key properties within the City of San Bruno. These areas include El Camino Real, they include our downtown street, San Mateo Avenue, and the idea of having a funding opportunity to provide for some of these improvements is something that staff believes we should pursue. In addition, recently, as part of the Grand Boulevard Initiatives Working Group, there was a call for projects. And approximately at least 17 cities along the Grand Boulevard submitted projects for consideration and ranking. The City of San Bruno submitted its transit corridors plan as part of the overall project call for projects. And the transit corridors plan was ranked #1 of the 17 projects. It received the highest ranking of all the projects received. We believe that there's a good chance for the City of San Bruno to gain consideration for the final funding, and therefore we believe that the City of San Bruno should continue in this process. San Bruno has, over time, taken a number of related actions in support of the Grand Boulevard Initiative. In 2008, the City of San Bruno endorsed the Grand Boulevard Initiative and directed staff to incorporate the guiding principles of the GBI in future plans for El Camino Real. In 2009, San Bruno adopted a new general plan and incorporated the GBI's guiding principles. And in February of this year, San Bruno adopted the Transit Corridors Plan, and last year, 2012, the City of San Bruno adopted a Complete Streets Policy Resolution. So we believe that the action being suggested by staff this evening is consistent with recent and past actions of the City Council. I should point out, too, though, that by appropriating the $11,000 in funds to continue in this process does not obligate the City of San Bruno to continue in this process. Should the City of San Bruno decide that it does not wish to pursue the final design that comes out, it doesn't need to do that. It's not obligated to do that. As far as aspects of the San Bruno case study design, the street improvements that are being considered, such things as lane and shoulder narrowing, intersection improvements, sidewalk improvements, median improvements, landscaping, traffic signals, sustainable street features are all being considered as part of the overall project. Tonight, we're fortunate to have both Megan Wessel and Terry Bottomley to join us. And Megan will talk more from a Samtrans perspective as to why the local match is being requested of San Bruno, and Terry will provide more detailed information on some of the design elements within the San Bruno segment. So at this point, I'd like to invite Megan and Terry to come up and speak to you.
Thank you, David, for the nice summary. Thank you again for having us this evening. So, as David said, the Grand Boulevard Initiative is an interjurisdictional collaboration seeking to revitalize the El Camino Real corridor, making it a multimodal boulevard with a mix of homes and jobs near transit. And a focus of this is also to improve travel and mobility options, which complete streets can bring. So what is a complete street? It's a street that's for everybody. It's designed to be safe and efficient for all users. So pedestrians, bicyclists, motorists, people using public transportation, individuals of all abilities and all ages. Complete streets help build this balance between the different travel options. So this is an example of what El Camino Real looks like now. This is what it could look like with streetscape improvements, typical of complete street designs. And this is what it could look like with the streetscape designs mixed in with land use development and intensity. So as David said, the Tiger Tube Planning Grant was received by San Mateo County Transit District back in 2010, and it funds a complete streets project. The 4 case studies were selected through a competitive application process. And so again, those 4 are San Bruno, Daly City, San Carlos, and South San Francisco. As David said, the purpose of this is really to design model streetscape segments for the corridor and define the process for implementing a complete street design on a state highway, using this guidance to inform future improvements not only within the El Camino corridor, but other urban corridors across the nation. So the status of the San Bruno case study now, it's reaching its 25% design level. This has been achieved through numerous meetings with city staff, review of city planning documents such as the Transit Corridors Plan, as well as input from the Caltrans project development team. Caltrans being the owner of El Camino with State Route 82, they have to approve any design that's proposed on El Camino. And so we're going through their project development team process and preparing a project initiation document, which is required to initiate Caltrans' review of the design. The draft project initiation document, which is specifically a project study report, project development study, which highlights the scope of the project and kind of the technical reports that are required in future phases. That's in draft form now. A partial draft is ready, and we've been going back and forth with Caltrans on the design. The San Bruno case study funding, this summarizes what David was pointing out in the staff report. So to date, over $200,000 has been obligated to the the San Bruno case study, the San Bruno case study, and the federal earmark grant funding that you see there, the $44,000. In order to be eligible to use that towards the case study, there's a 20% local match required by the federal grant funds, and so that's what's being requested of the city to provide for the case studies. And it will bring the project to the $227,000, and this will enable the project to complete the final Caltrans project initiation document that would be needed to move into a future design phase, if desired. It would allow the city to be eligible to compete for the final design funding that David mentioned, and it would also allow the city to be eligible for $2 million towards construction that CCAG has offered for a complete street design on El Camino. So with that, I'm going to turn it to Terry to focus on the design aspects.
Okay, this is the project area that we're looking at. As David said, it extends from San Bruno Avenue on the north, on the left of the diagram here, to San Mateo Avenue and Taylor on the right. And this sort of diagram just shows the major features that are proposed as part of the Complete Streets program for all the cities. The symbols indicate things like, I'm going to use the pointer here, intersection improvements, particularly improved crossings to make the crossing safer for pedestrians and more appealing, frontage landscaping, lighting, traffic calming measures, and also possibly frontage rain gardens or other features to provide stormwater management to capture rainfall and protect the bay. This is sort of a typical existing condition throughout the corridor, really along El Camino Real, and it sort of illustrates some of the things that communities in the Grand Boulevard corridor find to be create a barrier to crossing the street. Generally wide lanes, 12 feet or more, a lack of pedestrian accommodation, crosswalk improvements, those kinds of things. And generally just sort of a totally, auto-oriented sort of environment, basically. And a lot of the Complete Streets improvements focus on fixing pedestrian crossings, providing improvements to make crossings safer and more attractive. It's perceived to be not only a pedestrian safety and traffic calming measure, but also something that could promote economic development, retail activity, and that kind of stuff along the corridor. So some of the key elements here are corner curb bulb outs at signalized intersections, highlighted crosswalks, and pedestrian refuges. Refuge typically has to be about 6 feet minimum width, and we're looking at trying to install these things at every signalized intersection where they would fit. Now, as part of this, particularly trying to build on the space that's that's acquired, that's grabbed for refuges, is extending medians too. And one of the things that you can see here is a sketch that shows, say, an existing stretch of median that's extended to create this refuge. What this does is expands landscaping, obviously, but it also increases the pervious area, the area of the street that can absorb rainwater as part of a stormwater management effort. This is a look at sort of a typical frontage condition. We were looking at an intersection before. This is typical frontage. And throughout a lot of the corridor, you have sort of a shoulder area, 8 to 10 feet, curbside parking. Minimal pedestrian amenities, curb cuts for driveways extend across the sidewalk, highway-type lighting. And a typical approach as part of the Complete Streets program is where parking is not essential along the frontage, considering a frontage landscape strip and rain garden that can absorb stormwater, moving the curb cut and apron for a driveway out of the main sidewalk area, and new street lighting, pedestrian-oriented street lighting. In areas where parking is needed for frontage retail buildings, the proposal would be to intersperse frontage street trees and rain gardens with parking. Those are just sort of providing a broad brush, quick overview of some of the basic elements. As David said, one of the things that we're doing as part of the work is working with staff to figure out how to adapt these types of typical improvements to the specifics of San Bruno.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So with that, we have prepared a resolution for your consideration this evening, and the resolution is attached to your packet, your staff report, and the resolution reads to authorize appropriation of $11,000 of Measure M funds to complete the preliminary design drawings for the Grand Boulevard Initiative Complete Streets San Bruno case study. With that, we would be pleased to respond to any of your questions. Thank you.
Any questions? Ken?
Thank you. David, I think our chances are good. I think San Bruno has been positioned and has been complimented previously about transit corridor and transit-oriented development. The crossings has been featured in Grand Boulevard showcases and things, initially even. My question is that even though we have a very good chance of being selected, we have a 25% chance or better. Where are we as far as options as to if we're not selected? We're looking at a $2 million project that's been invested, $250,000 in design. Are there other options in grants and things, or is this something that's just going to get filed away? Until Grand Boulevard, ramps up and and takes care of, most of the cities along the corridor.
Councilmember Ibarra, this is certainly one opportunity, but not the only opportunity. But we believe it's a significant opportunity for us to pursue. There are clearly other grants that may come along over time, and in fact, as I indicated in the staff report, the estimated cost for this segment is about $4.6 million. So the $2 million funding opportunity that this presents would be significant. But still, even with that opportunity, there would be a need to identify other funding sources to complete this segment. I think that, as you indicated, there's a good opportunity here. Anytime the city has an opportunity that seems consistent with policy direction, it would be worthwhile to pursue it. And that's what we're recommending tonight.
Just curious, same kind of length in the other cities? Same? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. For the people watching, they said yes. About the same.
Yes.
Good. Any other questions? Staff or consultants? Action by the City Council?
To the Chair, I'll introduce the resolution.
Councilmember Rivera.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Vice Chair O'Connell.
Jim?
Wang.